Welcome, everybody, to another episode here on the Utah Street Banter Podcast. What do we got on this episode, Elijah?
We're going to be talking about news around baseball and what's happening with Mason Miller and some Dodgers stuff.
Yeah, then we got some fun, amazing things to talk about in the Orioles box scores.
We're going to talk about Red Sox completely cleaning house and how that's going to affect their clubhouse going forward.
Are the Orioles offense finally figuring it out? We'll talk about it.
And what is going on with Trevor Rogers?
Let's go!
Welcome to the Utah Street Banter Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode here on the Utah Street Banter Podcast. With me, like always, is Elijah. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good. Glad to be on for another week of baseball.
Yeah, man. So, obviously, not the greatest week at Orioles baseball. But we got a lot to talk about. But before we get to all that, we're going to get to our Around the League news with Elijah. What do you got?
I just want to start off talking about Mason Miller because I know Monday night he did give up his first run of the season, so he's not completely invincible anymore. I just think it's very impressive, though, to be able to go. It was April 27th was the first run he gave up. That's a month into the season. That's a lot of innings pitched. And it kind of stinks because, Matt Shaw hit that ground ball, and it went over the foul. In my opinion, it was foul. Umpires ended up ruling it fair, though. So that's that, I guess. He comes around to score on the Nico Horner. Shout out Nico, the only good thing on my fantasy baseball team this year. I think it's impressive if he can keep this stretch. I mean, imagine. So this is the first run he's given up in about a month. If he goes the rest of the season, then giving up 4 runs, 1 for May, 1 for June, 1 for July, 1 for August. 5, 1 for September as well. He's given up 6 runs all season. So the pace he's on is pretty good, I think.
And to me, it's like when you watch him pitch, it's not fluky. Like, he just dominates the at-bat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He has crazy off-speed pitches. I guess you would call them off-speed, even though they're faster than most people's fastballs.
Yeah, they're 95 miles an hour.
Yeah, crazy movement on the off-speed in quotation marks. And then he'll hit you with a 102-mile-an-hour fastball. And he's accurate as crap. You know what I mean? So it's a recipe for disaster for the batters.
Yeah, and I know, because now on the season he's got a 1.26 ERA, which doesn't make him look as invincible, but, I mean, still, that's 2 earned runs in 14 and a third inning.
Yeah.
He's got 6 hits now. I mean, he's 6 hits over 14 innings. I think anyone's going to take.
Absolutely.
I think I'd prefer him on the Orioles over Helsley.
Yeah, everybody would prefer him over everybody's closer.
I would prefer him over any just pitcher in general, right? There's maybe 1 or 2 pitchers in baseball I would take over him.
Right. Yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, I mean, and I know bringing up Mason Miller, there's someone that said that they could be just as good as Mason Miller in the major leagues. That's currently on the Long Island Ducks, which if you're not aware, that's in the Atlantic League. It's an independent baseball league. And Trevor Bauer has made the claim when he signed a deal with the Ducks that he could still pitch in the major leagues and give up 0 runs.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, I will say, that's a lot of confidence to come out and say, but following that up with a 7-inning no-hitter, that is the right track, I guess, if you're trying to make it back to the majors.
Yeah. I mean, in that league, I mean, it's there's a lot of talent in that league. I would compare it to a AA minor league baseball.
I think it's like in between double and AAA, like somewhere around there. If you look at most of the rosters that are constructed, most of the guys that are on the teams made it up to about AAA, AA, somewhere around there.
Yeah. But it's 7 Did you see the celebration with the team?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they acted like it was just a regular win.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. It's a 7-inning no-hitter, so it kind of doesn't count. Like I know Madison Bumgarner did that a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't count.
Yeah.
It's 7 innings. Parker Messick threw an 8-inning no-hitter against the Orioles, and you didn't see him get nothing.
Yeah, I was at I was going to say Tanaka. What's his name?
Yoshinobu
Yamamoto, and he threw an 8.2 no-hitter, and then Jackson Holiday hit a home run. It was pretty awesome last year.
So yeah, we ended up winning that game.
Yeah.
We need some of that magic now.
Yeah. To talk about the Dodgers, you got one of your favorite players now is on the Dodgers, right?
One of my favorite players? I don't know about that.
Okay.
But that guy, he is starting to make himself known around the leagues for probably the wrong reasons, because it's kind of unfortunate because he's having a really good year.
Yeah.
But it's Dalton Rushing. I mean, he's really making himself a villain across the league. And like I said, it's a shame this season, batting a .385. He's got 2 doubles, 7 home runs, a .974 slug. I mean, his OPS is 1.441. That's nothing to glance at. That's pretty impressive.
Well,
so, now they have the 2 best hitting catchers in baseball.
I was going to say, what's up with the Dodgers just pushing out good catchers all the time?
Well, I think it's just this is the problem with the Dodgers, is when you're as good as you are and you can sign people, it makes it even worse when you have a few, because, let's be honest, they haven't really developed too many players as of late.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, obviously, you have, a Will Smith that's one of their guys.
Yeah.
But, on the pitching side, they don't really have too many people. On the offensive side, they don't really have too many people. So, you see them when they do develop someone. And Dalton Rushing, he's been a top prospect for years now. And so, it's not surprising that he's going to do good. It's just, it sucks with what he's been doing. Because when he comes out and he's talking trash at the Rockies, saying that they're cheating because they were able to beat the Dodgers, who ended up, they won the first series that the Dodgers lost all year. I'm fairly certain that was the first series the Dodgers lost all season, was against the Rockies. And he was calling them fishy, right? Well, I like that they did the whole fishing celebration. I thought that was pretty clever by the Rockies to fight back. And then Jung-Hoo Lee slid into him at home plate and looked like he got a little banged up. And then he said some words I can't repeat, not very nice words, as he was walking back to the dugout. He slid into second base, very aggressive, which some people say it's old baseball. Some people say it was aggressive, whatever you want to say. I mean, I know Logan Webb drilled him in the ribs. And then he threw out Miguel Amaya on the Cubs, and then had a few choice words about him after he threw him out too, calling him fat.
Yeah.
So it's just not what you want to see if you're probably the Dodgers.
Right.
But at the same time, maybe you want to have someone that's got a little bit of energy and there's some confidence, like Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer's got plenty of confidence. Maybe that's what's going to lead to success for this kid.
Maybe. It's crazy. I just think he's pretty young in his season to be, trying to speak out like that. And
he's pretty
ignorant responses.
Yeah, it's pretty young in the season, and it's just the fact that okay, if you're on the Rockies and you're doing really good, maybe you can get away with that because they're going to play you no matter what. But you go 3 games where you don't get a base hit, you're going to get benched on the Dodgers.
Right.
I mean, you just, because then maybe say that they take these comments into consideration. Well, instead of going 3 rough games, you'll get benched. Maybe it's now just 2 rough games.
Yeah. Or worst comes to worst is when do you do something, you say something stupid, and one of your teammates have to pay for what you did. So, so he does something, and now Mookie Betts gets a high inside fastball and it hits a hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I guess the one good thing with him being a batter is that they could take it out on him. Because I know a lot of pitchers like to get, throughout the league, you see some pitchers start talking and stuff. The pitchers can never be retaliated against. At least if you're a pitcher, you're like, okay, I'm not going to go punish Mookie Betts. I'll just drill Dalton Rushing.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows, though? Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then speaking of, I know the Dodgers are one of the better teams in baseball right now. Who do you think's really at the top of the league? Because it's kind of a jumble at the top.
Yeah, I mean, I truly think, I know between, you look at the Braves, they're crushing it. But I still think the Dodgers, it's just, I know, if I had to play a 7-game series against the Dodgers or the Braves or any of the top teams, I think the one team I'd feel the least confident playing is the Dodgers. I know, you look at their pitching staff and it's not terrifying, but their lineup looks like they could score 10 runs on you. And I mean, we just gave up 17, against the Red Sox. So.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's definitely from the National League. I mean, the Yankees are the top team right now in the AL, and I don't think they're better than the Braves or the Cubs or the Padres or Dodgers. I really think the Cubs, they've been hot lately. They've really been. They went on their 10-game win streak. They started off slow and then caught fire. I'm hoping that's what the Orioles can do. I like the Padres. I just don't want the Dodgers to win.
I know. It's one of those things where, I say the Dodgers, you're like, well, yeah, obviously. So, if you didn't say the Dodgers, I mean, I would probably, I don't know. I mean, then I guess I'd go to the Yankees. I don't want to play them, but then that's not fun to say either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, the Cubs, they're 11-5. I mean, yeah, they're 7-3 in their past 10. So they're one of the hottest teams in baseball, and the Braves are 8-2. So it is tough to say, but I mean, yeah, it's hard to get away from them. Hard to get away from the Dodgers.
If you look at the National League East, it's a very interesting division right now because you got the Braves in first place, 29 record. Miami Marlins are in second. Well, they're tied with the Nationals. They're both 13-6, and then the Phillies and Mets are tied in last. They're 9-19.
Yeah.
Of those two teams there, the Phillies and Mets, which ones do you really think have a chance at making the playoffs or just coming back and having a good season after this rough start?
Yeah, I mean, I know this is the unpopular opinion, but I still think the Phillies. I think the Phillies make the playoffs. I hope I'm totally wrong. I hope I'm the most wrong. But I just think their division is so weak that they can easily make up a ton of games off the Nationals and the Marlins. I really do. And possibly the Mets, I guess. But I think the Mets aren't as bad as they're playing right now. But I think Wheeler steps up. I think he gets better. Nola, I know Nola is on the decline, but he can't be as bad as he's playing right now. They have Trey Turner. They have Kyle Schwarber. They have good bats there. They have what's his name, the power hitter from Texas last year,
Garcia.
Yeah, Adolis Garcia. So it's one of those things where they have one of the best closers in baseball in Duran. So it's you look at that team, and I think they're way too good to be where they're at.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree with all you're saying, except I would put it for the Mets. I think the Mets. And see, you talk about an easy division. This is probably the best that the NL East has been all around. I would almost argue to say since like the late 2010s, maybe, when the Nationals were really good. The Phillies were starting to get up into it. The Mets were okay. The Braves were pretty good. This is a really strong division. This is, looking at it, it looks bad, but I think there's more top to bottom competitive play than, say, the NL West. Because I think the Rockies and Giants the Rockies are worse than the Marlins and the Nationals.
Yeah. Okay.
And the Giants are playing worse than both of those teams as well. And like, even look at the AL Central, the White Sox and the Royals aren't playing great. The Twins are going to be bad soon. They started off really hot, but they're going to crash real soon. They're already starting to, but it's going to become insert explosions.
Right.
But with the Phillies and the Mets, I really think the Mets, they have too much star power between their pitching staff, their bullpen, their lineup is scary. And I look at the Phillies, they didn't do anything in the offseason. They got Adolis Garcia, but they didn't push the needle enough. They've right now the worst run differential in baseball.
Yeah, I was confused with how they didn't even try to get the pitcher
Ranger Suarez.
Like, what? There was no effort there, and
they spent all that money. I don't think they have that much more money to spend. They spent it on all these guys like Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Kyle. I mean, you got to think they gave Kyle Schwarber a giant contract this offseason.
Yeah, it just seemed weird to me that most of the starting pitchers that were on the free agent market their home team didn't even attack them, and now two of those most popular guys, teams are struggling, which is the Astros losing Framber, and then you got the Phillies. It's one of those things where both teams that probably could definitely use a starting pitcher. That's a huge hole in their rotation.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the Phillies, right? They just DFA'd Taijuan Walker, so they kicked him out after, which, I mean, I feel like that's been 4 years now.
Tell me he is not going to be on the Tide in like 2 weeks. That's the most Orioles thing you've ever seen.
Just as long as it stays minor league depth.
Yeah.
And you look at that, they trusted Christopher Sanchez, and he's been good, but the rest of the rotation's not there. And then look at the Astros. Well, they brought in Tatsuya Imaya from the Japanese pitcher. And I just think, he got hurt. He's been on the injured list for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously, when you bring over, especially from Asia pitchers, it's just different ball, different league. It is hard for them to adjust quickly. And I think he was struggling with that, so he had a couple rough starts. But you were really hoping that he could come over and be Yamamoto. And it's just not quite worked out. And I mean, if we're speaking of Japanese pitchers too, I mean, look at Roki Sasaki with the Dodgers. He's struggling too.
Yeah. It's
interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But I do just want to have one last fun thing before we get into some sad Orioles stuff. I don't know if you saw, but it was Connor Griffin's birthday recently on the Pirates. And it made me a little sad because he is now the same age as me. He was 19, now he's 20. And so apparently I didn't care about baseball enough as a kid to really lock in enough to get to where he is already. Apparently Sussex Academy wasn't getting me enough national spotlight.
No, if the more spotlight, then you'd be there.
Exactly. If I should have just gone, was it to like IMG Academy, the one that's literally just the sports high school in Florida?
Yeah, what's schooling?
Yeah, exactly.
Can't read or write. Can't read.
When you know you're gonna make it,
Right.
Well, Paul Skeens and the Pirates got him a bouncy house in the clubhouse for his birthday. I just thought that was funny.
It was hilarious. Yeah, my favorite thing was I believe in the interview with Skeens they were asking like, what did you do? He's like, what are we supposed to do? He's 20. Like, what do you want me to do? Get him a bouncy house, and then the next day they get a bouncy house.
Yeah.
Which it looked like it was all in good fun. You know.
Oh yeah.
Because you saw Connor Griffin like playing in it, like just messing around. So yeah. So
who doesn't need a bounce house?
I mean, hey, when my kids, we have 2, so it's crazy.
It's a problem because that's all they ever want to do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and you have to pick it up, carry it in and out.
What's that? I know I'm older than Connor Griffin, but I guarantee I spend more time in a bounce house than he has recently.
That's awesome. All right. Well, it's everybody's favorite time of the day. Their truly favorite time of the day. And that is Orioles box scores. Guys, I'm going to be able to do this week in 2 minutes. We're just doing the past series with the Red Sox. We will talk more about our series currently and next week. So I don't want to get you guys too riled up in 1 week. All right, I'm going to start this timer. Ready, set, here we go. All right, so the Orioles on Friday started the series with the Boston Red Sox. And man, it started off amazing, especially in the first inning. Orioles score 4 runs in the first. Gunnar Henderson hits a home run. Adley Rutschman hits a home run. Let's see, just everybody. Beavers hits a home run. Basayo ends up hitting a home run also in this game. I mean, pretty great. Rutschman had 2, by the way, 2 home runs. So yeah, the Orioles.
It was a good game.
Yeah, Orioles win this game 10-3. Brandon Young started this game. It was nice to have the run backing him. Brandon Young has been crushing it in AAA, by the way. But Young goes 5.2, gives up 3 earned, 5 Ks. I wish he could have went 6. That would have been helpful. The bullpen does help, does save us, and does pretty well. All right, and then so then the very next day, the Boston Red Sox play the Orioles again in Game 2, and it did not go well. Trevor Rogers struggled, going 1 2/3 of an inning, gives up 3 earned, only striking out 2. The biggest issue is he goes 1 2/3 innings, and he just threw a ton of pitches. I think it was like 62, 63 pitches in those innings. And I respect the coaching staff by getting him out of there and kind of just, letting that ride. Keegan Aiken is the one that really struggled. It was 7-0 going into the 9th inning. And then he, that 9th inning, there's 10 runs.
Yeah.
10 runs go. And they had to bring in Weston Wilson to come save the day. So anyway, we
gave up less runs than Keegan Aiken.
Yeah, right. Anyway, and then Sunday, we have 20 seconds left. And Sunday, the Red Sox, with no coaching staff at all because they fired all of them, the Red Sox beat us 5-3. Kyle Bradish really struggled with his accuracy. Goes 5 innings, 3 earned, only 3 strikeouts. It just was ugly. It was not enjoyable to watch. And I am done. Woo!
Done.
2 minutes. That was quick.
Yeah.
So
now, I mean,
if you fast forwarded through all of that, because you didn't feel like hearing the box scores, you're just going to learn that apparently the Orioles struggled so much in this past series that even the Red Sox knew that they still had to get rid of all their coaching staffs.
Yeah, it was, and we'll talk about that right now because it is interesting how that situation happened. And now Chad Tracy, he's the manager of the Red Sox. He was their AAA manager. He got into Baltimore about 1:30 in the morning on Sunday and then coached the team to a win somehow.
Yeah, pretty crazy how they didn't just shake up the entire major league roster. They shook up the entire minor league. No, I mean, coaching
everything.
Staff. Yeah, because Chad Tracy, AAA coach, went and now is the head coach. The AA coach is now the third base coach. They got rid of Jason Varitek, Red Sox legend. Well, they didn't get rid of him. They reassigned him, but then he puts out on social media that goodbye and all this stuff because I think that's severed. That's a relationship that needs to be fixed because right now it's severed. And then you have Alex Cora putting on whatever it is, that he's happy And everything looks real bad. The owner didn't even show up at the press conference that he set up to talk about all the changes.
Yeah. And current players are saying how the management's made it clear that their job is to play and that's all they should worry about, how this isn't their concern.
Yeah.
And then a former player saying it's like pooping your pants and changing your shirt, which is just a great quote. That's probably one of the all-time quotes in baseball.
It's one of those things where I know the coaching change last year for the Orioles didn't help at all. But they did do it better than the Red Sox just did.
And I will say for the Orioles, their switch up was later in the year.
Sure.
And I think we were about 500 from the rest of the season on at that point.
True. You're right.
You do it earlier on and maybe you're losing, you're down by a lot. But if you fix it quicker than we did, that might help. Because that could be something they look at. They're like, do we wait till late May and June to do this? Or do we just go ahead and pull the plug now?
Yeah, man, what a shock factor. Like,
it really is shocking.
Because, I mean, of how they did it. I guess that's the shocking part for me is basically now, when those guys entered the clubhouse the next day, it had to just be whispers. You know what I mean? Like, what's next? Because the personnel is the same. Like, the players on the field have not changed. And it seems like that's the issue. You even look at that roster, and it looks like a fantasy baseball team in effect, where like you're like, okay, all it care about is stats, because it just doesn't blend very well. It's you're trying to make a banana milkshake, but you don't have bananas.
That's an interesting analogy.
You're like that. So you're like, I think that it tastes kind of like a banana. I don't know. Let's try this.
I don't think I've heard that one before.
It brought that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can use it anytime you want.
Okay, I will. Did you see, though, when all the coaches left Saturday night, what came and picked them up?
Yeah, coaches for hire.
There was a coach fan that said coaches for hire.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. That's ironic.
Yeah, it's like, not to be ignorant. It's just nice that this is happening to somebody else, because this sounds like something that the Orioles would happen to us.
For real.
Like this just sounds like this is, it stinks that they took 2 out of 3 though.
No, it really does. But it is also shocking at the same time. Like, you do it in the middle of an away series, and I know they're playing Toronto right now, which, by the way, they've won 2 games in a row since firing everyone. So maybe watch out for the Red Sox. I don't know. But it's just interesting that you could have done it maybe after the Orioles series as they were traveling. So, like, it's not that much of it. I don't know. It's so strange.
Yeah. It also, are they, I don't even know, are they home or away right now?
They're at Toronto.
Yeah.
But you got to think, Boston's somewhat in between Toronto and
Baltimore. No. What I'm saying is, the owner and GM is definitely trying to stay away from their home media, because you're doing it while you're on a multiple game road trip, hoping that your team can kind of settle it down. So
I will say, if they go sweep the Blue Jays, I don't think there's going to be much to talk about.
Right. But can you imagine if they waited until they were home?
Yeah.
Right. Then they would have had destroyed.
That's true. Okay, let's get to Orioles stuff.
Enough
Red Sox.
Yeah.
So, do you think the offense is starting to somewhat figure it out?
As I've been thinking about this, we've had a discussion. In-depth discussion yesterday about this. So I am going to say, I think there's a couple people on in our lineup that's been slumping that is figuring it out. So I mean, there might be a positive light coming. We hope, right? Kobe Mayo is the one I want to talk about. Kobe Mayo is crushing. I think the confidence is building in his at bats. He's taking better swings. I think what's really happened to him is he came into the league being like the home run crusher from AAA. So I feel like he wasn't under the radar when he got into the league. So I think people had a lot of information on him and kind of knew where his holes was. I think he is also working his butt off on that. The only reason I like what I'm saying is Kobe Mayo, I think, has amazing work ethic. And I say this because his defense sucked last year. It sucked the year before. It was terrible. And this year, you could tell that my man had made that like a determination of, this is how I'm making the club, because we didn't know all the injuries that was going to happen. And his defense is great now. And so it's one of those things where I think now he's like, okay, I got to figure out this at bat thing. And man, he's not just like getting on base. He is
Hit the ball
demolishing.
50 feet.
Like, he is demolishing the ball. I think the other day he hit his furthest home run. I think it was on Thursday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. And then the very next day, he hit one farther than his farthest. So it's one of those things where he's absolutely crushing it. Another guy I know you want to talk about is Basayo, who is really turning things around now too. Yeah, man. I mean, some of our young guys that we've been waiting to like get going is going. And like the nice thing about this is Basayo is the guy that we signed long term. We need him to get going.
We know he'll be here for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you look at the stats, he has a higher batting average than Gunnar Henderson.
Yeah. I mean,
Which isn't, I don't know if that's a plus for him or a negative for Henderson.
Yeah.
But I mean, Gunnar Henderson's stats this season are so intriguing because he's batting at 210, but he's still an above average play. Like his OPS plus, I think, is like 112. But it's because of he's hit 9 home runs and he's crushing the ball. But Basayo and Jackson have been just having great seasons. Pete Alonso, I'm hoping, is starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
I think Adley Rutschman, we could sit here and talk about him for 30 minutes.
Crushing.
MVP season.
I mean,
right now. If he keeps up his pace, he's going to win the MVP. From a catcher position.
And is all Orioles fans like me just rooting the heck out of him because I love Adley Rutschman. I love everything he stands for. He's a goofy dude. You feel like you would be friends with him right when he walked in there in the room. Like he just feels like he's a normal guy and he's easy to root for. But you're right, Gunnar Henderson. Like if Gunnar Henderson were to strike out one more time, Jeremiah Jackson and Kobe Mayo is half of his strikeouts. Gunnar Henderson has struck out 41 times, and Jeremiah and Kobe have 21 strikeouts. So, I mean, there's just a massive gap. You have Gunnar at 41 strikeouts, Pete Alonso at 32.
And then everyone else.
Everybody else is at...
Because, I'm okay with Jeremiah Jackson's, who I honestly...
Oh, yeah. That's a compliment, by the way.
I feel like Jeremiah Jackson strikes out a lot more than, I feel like I didn't remember seeing him strike out this much last year, but when he hits the ball like he does, that's fine. Also, he's got 21 compared to 32 with Alonso, 41 for Henderson. And, Basayo's 19, Mayo 21, Beaver's 17, Taylor Ward's 19, Blaze Alexander, Colton Cowser, they need to stop striking out because they're just bad right now. They're the bad parts of this offense.
Yeah, it's but anyway, so yeah, I think there's a lot of good things happening, and I hope that it just continues to follow that in the way of a positive way because obviously Pete Alonso has been taking better at bats. Jeremiah Jackson's crushing; he's been doing great all year. Kobe Mayo's doing much better. Sam Basayo's doing much better. Taylor Ward traded the offseason. Who would have thought? And Tavares is doing better. You know what I mean? He's doing good.
Tavares has come down to earth a little bit from where he was, and I think that makes sense because, what his stats are right now, if he keeps that up,
yeah, right. But and then you got Adley just absolutely demolishing. So
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
So,
but now let's move on to some bad stuff.
Boo! Gosh, why you keep bringing us down, dude?
Because I want to talk about Trevor Rogers.
Well, yeah, good old Trevor Rogers. Past 3 starts, not great. He started obviously on Saturday against the Red Sox that we talked about, and that was our 17-1 loss. The 17-1 loss seems like it's not 10 runs in the 9th inning. That's the part. It was 7-1 for a while. If you're a Red Sox fan, you're definitely saying 17-1. I get that, but so he only goes 1.2 innings here. But the pitch count's the issue here. The pitch count was the issue because the 4 hits and 3 runs is okay, right? That's fine. In only 2 walks, but in less than 2 innings, that's not really what you're looking for. But then the game before that, he went against the Guardians on Sunday the 19th. That game, he went 5 innings, gives up 6 runs, 5 earned. So still not great. Then even the game before that against Arizona, this isn't awful, but 4.2, just not getting the depth that we're looking for in games, right? So even the games before that he did well. It was 6 innings and 6 innings. So we still would love to see that 7-inning game from our ace. But the past three starts looking rough.
Yeah, definitely looking rough. And I don't understand really what it is. I tried to look at his baseball savant to see his underlying stats. And other than his pitching run value, fastball run value, all speed run value, obviously all those last season were amazing and this season they're not because he's not been doing good this year. You look at it, he's kind of been better at some of his underlying stats. He doesn't give up hard hit. His chase percentage is up. his hard hit percent and average exit velo is all better than it was last season when he was really good last season.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that he's like really struggling. It's the main difference is he's not getting ground balls. He's getting a lot more pop flies. Batters are getting underneath of it a lot more. And I don't know if that's what's leading to this, but at the same time, he's not giving up hard hits contact. So it's not like they're crushing into the gaps and hitting home runs on it every time. So I don't really know what it is, because he's giving up less hard hit contact, but he's doing worse. And he's not walking that much.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the other thing is in my opinion, the past 2 games are the ones that are the stressful games, because the Diamondbacks game, 4 runs is okay. You know, when he came out of it, but even in the games he's getting out of it, he's not leaving the game unreachable for this offense. Really what seems to be happening is the bullpen isn't helping him, because, you know, for the Guardians, he comes out of the game. Well, you know, let me see. The Diamondbacks, he comes out of the game with 4 runs. The offense doesn't help him out. They lose 4-3. Guardians, he comes out of the game with 6 runs, and the bullpen comes and gives up a few more runs. Now, the most recent one, he comes out 3 runs, and, you know, it's 14 runs later. So it's one of those things where it's hard to help, but it's also might be hard to help because he's asking for them to cover quite a few innings. You know what I mean? So, but hopefully, we're just, you know, I was talking about this earlier, is, you know, you look at him as an ace and you need him to be better. And you're like, I guess he doesn't have ace material anymore. It's like when Corbin Burns kind of went through that struggle when we had him in the month of August. And it was one of those things where maybe we were just expecting too much from Trevor Rogers to be perfect the entire season. So it's one of those things where if we can kind of get rid of, you know, cut this out now and kind of build a you know, better next few games, then we'll be great. But I also want to remember that I don't think it's going to be perfection. Does that make sense? So that was my biggest thing. Is I remember like, man, Corbin Burns had like a Cy Young contender going into that month of August and really kind of struggled. Kind of got it back getting into September, which was, thank goodness, because that was kind of when we made that playoff run that we didn't, you know, like win a game. But that's fine. That's fun. But anyway, we definitely hope that we have more positive news next week on our podcast here. And because, man, this is getting old.
And it's only April.
Right. But anyway, thank you all for joining us here on another episode here on the Utah Street Banter Podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, like, comment on this YouTube video, as we will try our best to communicate back to you. Remember also, if you're listening, you're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please give us a 5-star rating and subscribe so you can always see when we upload our newest podcast. We're on X, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Elijah posts a video every week or every day that the Orioles win a game. Not been doing that too much, but hopefully that changes.
Hopefully this week's better.
Yes, absolutely. But anyway, thank you all again for joining us on another episode here on the Utah Street Banter Podcast. We can't wait to see you next week. See you guys.
See ya.